If I didn't have Molani, how would I test Skirk? Alright, chat, let's field some questions. Let's do an impromptu Natllan Ask Zajef. If you guys have any questions about any of the characters from Natllan, or at least characters released since 5.0, how does Pyro MC interact with Natllan mechanics? Really poorly. Okay, this fucking Pyro MC character pisses me off. How are you gonna have a character that deals Night Soul aligned damage that doesn't count for Night Soul Burst? Alright? It's stupid, and I hate it. Do you still hold your opinion of Citlali being that great now that Citlali is in the game? I mean, yeah. I think Citlali and Escoffier are very similar. They don't really behave the same way in their teams, but they do similar things for their respective archetypes. Although, I think that Citlali is a lot closer to being balanced than Escoffier is. I don't think Escoffier is a balanced character at all. Like, if someone walked up to me and told me, I think Escoffier is the best character in the game, I'd say, you know what? That's pretty valid. That's pretty valid, actually. Out of all the Natllan limited 5 stars, which one would you say has the lowest pull value, considering all of them are pretty good? Lowest pull value. I think it does kind of depend on your account. Because I think even the weaker ones all have their respective upsides. If you're someone who doesn't care about speedrunning at all, Molani will be benched forever, basically. If you don't care about speedrunning at all, you're probably gonna bench Molani and barely ever use her. But then Molani looks like she's gonna be a pretty good support for Skirk, so like I don't even know if that's true anymore. With Kanich, I don't think there's any. Kanich is probably the character that has the least upside, but I also think that his baseline is better than Molani and Chasca. And then Chasca is a great co-op character, but if you don't care about co-op at all, she's arguably worse than Kanich and Molani. But it's between those three. And sometimes a Wriothesley main who pulled Escoffier for his freeze teams, but plays him in Melt just as often. Is Mavuika a significant enough upgrade over Citlali to consider as a support if I never plan on playing her as a carry? Short answer is no. Long answer is she can be a slight upgrade in some teams, and if you spend more time on her than you do on Wriothesley, the team is better. But if you're just going to be playing her burst bot plus off-field skill, channeling is pretty similar. And if you're gonna get a 5-star pull to improve your Wriothesley team specifically, as someone who goes out of their way to pull for characters just for Wriothesley, you'll definitely see better performance out of getting either a con on Wriothesley or Sig, or a con on another character you use with them. Is Citlali that much of an upgrade to Mavuika? I don't have other... Okay, I think people tend to overestimate how important Citlali is to Mavuika. If you already have Xilonen. The best way to look about it, to look at it, is like, you really want one form of Res Shred, but if you have either Citlali or Xilonen, you don't need the other one anymore, right? The gap between Citlali and Rosaria, for example, isn't actually that big. It's just that Citlali is a lot more comfortable to play, and it's easier to do the setups. And you don't have to deal with circle impact. So it's most of it is actually just quality of life. Not actually that much of a difference in power. What do you think Oyo decided to make Mizuki if they were just going to give her kit and make it better to a 4-star release 2 patches later with Aoife? I mean, standard characters aren't really designed to be good. The purpose of the standard characters is to make you spend more money on limited banners. It's to allow them to tell you that you'll get a 5-star item guaranteed every 90 wishes, while still having it take a lot, or while still allowing for the possibility that it takes twice that, right? If the standard characters are things you actively want to get, that's bad. But if all the standard characters are as bad as each other, that's also not favorable, because it just becomes either you get the character you want or you don't. And your gambling monkey brain is gonna find that more boring than if there's more possible results. And so the perfect scenario for them, if they want your gambling monkey brain to get attracted to the shiny gambling, is for the standard characters, for there to be a bunch of different standard characters and only like one, maybe two of them that are good. And so they actively want to make sure that they design multiple bad standard characters. And that's the purpose of Yume Glorp Glorp. At what con does Yume Glorp Glorp start being better than C6 Aoife? Probably C4? When she starts actually being able to heal properly. The biggest problem for her is that the taser units that don't require normal attacks, you don't have three good ones. Right? You've got Farina, and then you've arguably got Ororon, but who's your last one gonna be? Like, Fischl's good, but she's a lot worse if you don't get any normal attacks, because her Oz hits are actually kind of significant. And she doesn't synergize that well with Yume Glorp Glorp because slightly shorter uptime and the way she works her rotations. So then what do you have? You have Yai, which is not that great. You're kind of cooked, right? You don't have a great third slot. And because of that, even though at C2, she already arguably provides more value than Aoife, because your last slot character is going to be worse because you can't use Xilonen or Sainto, and Fischl is worse on you too, it takes more than that for her to really be competitive. Do you think Chasca still has room for improvement? Yep, 100%. Chasca's the sort of character that will still get improvements to their teams in 4 years. Because she's a very versatile character. She's going to work with a lot of different characters. How good is Chasca and AoE compared to Kanichi? Dog shit. Chasca and AoE is a bad character. Like, completely terrible. Chasca is one of the very, very few characters that has effectively no AoE. Right? She's kind of like Yoimiya. But at least with Yoimiya, you get to target one enemy at a time. And you can choose which one of them you target by walking closer to them. Making sure that you're targeting the right enemy with Chasca is like almost impossible. Is C6 Ororon good outside of taser teams or teams without another Natllan characters? If yes, is it a meaningful upgrade in comparison to C0? No. If you don't have another Natllan character or taser, Ororon can't proc the 4-piece Cinder City, right? Because without Electrocharged or Night Soul line damage from another character, he doesn't enter Night Soul's Blessing. So he does not get the 40% from Cinder City, he only gets 12. So it's a minus 28 damage percent. And then, sure, his C6 gives you up to 30% attack. But that's worth about as much as the 28% you lost. And at that point, he's barely doing any damage, and he doesn't really, and the buffs he gives are not that amazing either. You can still use him if you really want to. You have no other option in a Chevreuse team, for example, but it's not ideal. Is Xilonen best in slot for Mavuika, or do I put C2 Yonsan in the bag? Xilonen generally tends to give you overall better performance because of the quality of life from instantly stacking the fighting spirit. But it's not a big difference. And if you don't have Xilonen, and the team where you would consider using her is Mavuika, but you already have Yonsan and you don't need Yonsan on another team, Xilonen is not really worth getting, in my opinion. But if you have both available, I generally lean more towards Xilonen. You think Mavuika has room for improvement in the future, or needing Natllan characters makes her stuck at her current power? I mean, they could always just release a new Natllan character. But also, the fact that Citlali works so well with her and is already Natllan, and the fact that you also have Xilonen, if you end up getting an upgrade to Citlali, means that, yeah, there's definitely room for upgrades on her teams. I don't think we'll get upgrades to her teams anytime soon, but it could happen eventually, yeah. Realistically, I think the sort of character that would be good for Mavuika would be a character that's an EM buffer that's like actually heavily focused on EM buffing. Because like, if you look at the GC sims for Mavuika right now, for C0 stuff, quality of life stuff aside, before Yansan is added, let's skip to C0 stuff. Yeah. The highest one is with Sucrose. And it's kind of a cooked-ass rotation, but still. But the thing is, while Sucrose is a good character, the value of her shred is diluted by the presence of Citlali. And if they released a strong character that's focused around reaction buffing, they could actually take this slot. How do you feel about Pyro Traveler? I heard that DPS Pyro Traveler is better than Yol. I mean, that's not wrong. But like, man. Wait, I'll be right back. You go back in time and skip a Natllan character, who would it be? I think it depends. If you're telling me you go back in time right now, keeping all of your memories, and you have to experience things again from that point, I would probably skip Kanich. But if I could tell past Zajef something, I don't think I would tell him to skip Kanich. Like, I did have an okay-ish amount of fun with Kanich. I don't regret going for him, but I don't really care about having him anymore. Kanich or Milani? Yeah. If I didn't have Milani, how would I test Skirk? Huh? Tell me. What would I do? How do your Natllan carry rankings differ for casual players versus endgame maxers? I guess we can talk about that first. Sure, I'm down. Genshin, tier maker. We can talk about just the Natllan characters for now. Natllan carries, I mean. Are there only 5? Huh. I'd say for casual players, it's probably like this. Maybe. And then for like speedrunners and min-maxers, it's probably like this. I think Milani's the only one that changes significantly. Although, honestly, maybe for casual players, I'd put her here, actually.